Hello, everyone. My name is Danny. This review is for the movie called The Farewell. This is my 490th video review on YouTube. After learning that her family's beloved matriarch, Nai Nai, has been given mere weeks to live, Chinese born, US raised Billy returns to Changchun to find that her family has decided to keep the news from Nai Nai. While the family gathers under the joyful guise of an expedited wedding, Billy rediscovers the country she left as a child and is forever changed by her grandmother's wondrous spirit. In this richly moving story of how family can unite and strengthen us, often in spite of ourselves. This is a 2019 film. It is rated PG and it runs 98 minutes. The only real star in it is Aquafina, and then Diana Lynn and C Ma. So this is The Farewell. Well, everybody, this movie is not a top 10 of 2019. I've seen a couple of your lists. I see people having this on there, and that's not accurate. It's just not. It's a fine movie, but it has a lot wrong with it. It's kind of boring. And personally, if you've seen any of my 490 reviews that I've now done on YouTube, you will understand that any movie with subtitles is really hard to watch for me. And I don't think I've ever given a movie with subtitles an A. I mean, I'm glad that this has some English in it, but why can't they just make it English speaking if they all speak English? I don't get it. So, just make it either or. You just make it completely subtitles, then I can avoid it, or just have it all English so that I can enjoy it without having to read subtitles. Um, it's tough with movies like this because you have a full roster of people, and not all of them are the best actors. Not all of them are old enough to know what acting really means. Some of them are too old to really remember what good acting means. And they're in a culture and they get to talk about how things are different from East and West and stuff like that. And, not everything in this movie is going to be satisfactory for every single person in the world because we're dealing with different cultures, we're dealing with different lifestyles, we're dealing with different beliefs, and ways of eating and ways of treating other people and ways of talking to each other. There's just a lot of differences. So, anybody who appreciates this movie, like I said at the beginning, and thought it was one of the best movies of 2019, I'd like to know if you know what you're talking about because I don't think you understand what this movie is entailing. It might be fun to watch, it might have a nice message, but it's not like a great movie. It's not a well done film. So, um, I'll state the obvious that I've heard from other people, and that's that Aquafina is supposedly so good in this. She is like what Adam Sandler and Kevin Hart are to some people, and they just cannot watch their movies. Aquafina is getting that point for me. She was ridiculous in Jumanji. And here, she has to bring her own flavor into the film. Like she just can't help herself. And for anybody to say that she, is doing something different here, well, sure, she's accepting a dramatic role where she has to take things seriously, but that doesn't stop her from having her own flavor and her own attitude and trying to be funny on a couple things. I mean, if you didn't catch that, then you should have. And for me to sit there and watch her try and be herself, and I know that other people have thought this film is amazing, it just doesn't mix, you know. So she kind of gets on my nerves, I guess, is the thing to say. That it's hard to watch a movie with her and have her doing her own style of comedy, especially under drama. It just doesn't mix, and I don't understand why people are thinking it's amazing. The story, I can't talk on the story because it's a Chinese belief. It's probably what lots and lots of people do in real life. And for somebody to watch this movie and go, that's so shocking. It's not that shocking. I mean, they say in here that people in the East probably think us holding funerals for people is really strange and buying a casket and all this stuff that we do. So, are we going to make a movie about that? About the process of a funeral? No. But, it's it's different from other people's ideas, so somebody decided to make a movie about this, but it's probably a common thing. So it's a fine story. It's just an accurate story. It's truthful. It's something that people don't hear about too much, so it's unique, I guess. Um, the people in the movie seem fine, but there is a lot of recurring dialogue. There's a lot of recurring statements about the point of the thing, not telling the grandmother that she's sick. You know, telling people to eat. I mean, just there's lots of recurring things, and that gets boring after a while. That gets drawn out. So it's not like this isn't anything I haven't seen before. I mean, I was kind of thinking while I was watching it, is this what I felt like when I watched My Big Fat Greek Wedding? Because that was a classic back in the day, but A, everybody spoke English. B, it was a cultural difference of a movie, and people got drawn to it because it was a comedy and it was interesting and it was one culture of a family story, kind of like this. And I said, well, no, because I mean, My Big Fat Greek Wedding was a phenomenon. Like everybody seemed to enjoy it, everybody could connect to it in some way. I didn't feel like that towards this. And I think mostly because of the recurring dialogue and kind of boringness of the movie. And, there wasn't many surprises. A lot of the stuff that was nice to watch was the way that the granddaughter and the grandmother kind of connected to each other. But then we get to the ending, and that's disappointing. And it almost says that there wasn't a point to make this movie, and they still made the movie. And then you get to the end, and then you get this surprise like, oh, maybe we did need to make this movie. So I really don't know what this movie was doing. I don't know why it shoots itself in the foot. I don't know why it has recurring things. I don't know why it has so many subtitles. I don't know why it thinks it's funny, but it's not. I really just don't get the big hoopla about it, and I can't suggest it because, I mean, it's kind of honestly kind of boring. And unless it stands out in some way, nobody else is going to connect to it. But there will be those out there that praise it for some reason, but I honestly just don't get it. I'm going to give The Farewell a C. I think it's very middle of the road movie. There's some nice parts, there's some really dumb parts. There's people who don't know how to act, along with some seasoned professionals. The story is recurring and it just doesn't really go anywhere. So it's funny, but not really. And then it tries to be, but it's not. And I just can't suggest it off of that premise. So if you want to branch out and watch something different, it's different. But otherwise, I give a C to The Farewell. Thanks a lot, guys. My name's Danny. If you like this or any of my other videos, try and get some of them watch. Like and subscribe to my channel if you would. And enjoy your movies. Thanks.